And we're back. Oh, yes, we're back now. Here we are. Yes, we're back. We're back now. Here we are again now. Hey. Sorry, I try to make lyrics. Oh. Alright, guys. Sorry for having another long break, but it was Thanksgiving here in America. And I gave thanks for having a break. But we're back. At long last. Okay, this week I'm gonna do it. I haven't asked for spoilers, but I did ask ahead. I think we have 2 more parts left. So if I do it tonight, and I do it Friday night, we should finally finish the first Great Ace Attorney. And then I can roll right into Resolve next week. Also, we were going to do Among Us tonight, but I couldn't get enough people. So for those of you still watching my archives, but wondering when we're going to do Among Us, we are trying to, but it's hard corralling people right around a holiday. So next week, we might be back with Among Us at long last. But that's not what you're here for tonight. Anyway, last we left off, we had seemingly found a new way to move the case forward by pointing the finger at Eggsy Benedict. The white rich guy. Let's see how that turns out. Also, Bernie Cinders, and welcome to Tiny Train World. Thank you for your resubs. 59-month and 17-month respectively. Woo! Thank you so much. Wonder how many aneurysms Quinn will get tonight? Let's find out. Take a shot every time Quinn sputters. I got my drink. Alright, so we had just sent out the call to pick up Eggsy. Oh no. Here's what we're opening with. Gina, how are you holding up? Yeah, that's right. Just stay silent and taciturn. I don't care if that's redundant. I'm starting to feel quite warmly towards her frequent cold shoulders now. Ginny! Are you alright? Why aren't you saying anything? Quinn, will you do the older Ace Attorney games? Honestly, no. This game has actually become quite endearing, but, it's kind of 2 things. On one thing is, attorneys playing the older Ace Attorneys are kind of done with. I took advantage of the fact that this was pretty new, to the West at least. And secondly, I don't feel like I can make this a marathon. I can do the games that came in this package, which was 2, and then I think that's a nice succinct taste of the Ace Attorney games. It's not that I'm not having fun, it's just I don't think I can wed myself to the longer form. If you do watch Little Karibo, that may be your sampling of a longer form Ace Attorney Let's Play, but I'm just gonna take this little dip in the pool. But anyway, Magnesium and Trivia Loves and Equisfer, thank you for your resubs. What's the point, eh? Why go to all this trouble and fight so hard for the likes of me? I don't know, Jenny. I don't know. Your accent makes this really hard. What? Well, you saw it, that picture. What picture? Oh, you mean this? The photograph taken by Early's red-handed recorder. Also, so, something I was doing over the week was taking a look at a couple of travel logs, and I happened to notice that Naruhodo is actually a Japanese phrase, which I did not know. Apparently it means like a that makes sense, or I understand it, which, honestly, fitting, given the character he's been. Also, Variant Plant, thank you for the 10 gift subs. I just didn't want to interrupt my little I learned something today. Because we can all learn something while playing Ace Attorney. I can teach you guys legal stuff, and I can teach you what I learned in Japan. I don't know. I lost my train of thought there. Well, I didn't think it would have captured a scene like this, that's for sure. Link to the Little Karibo channel. I know it's Little Karibo Versus. It's twitch.tv / Little Karibo Versus. I can't type it right now because I have to switch monitors. It's hopeless. Anyone who sees that's gonna think I did it, ain't they? Well, I won't pretend it wasn't a bit of a shock when the prosecution first presented it to the court. You know, evidence like that, which should have been given to me days in advance, but here we are. Surely I got to have your doubts about me now. You can't think that I'm innocent. Of course I can. I've chosen to disregard logic and believe in you. Ginny, why don't you talk to us? Tell us what really happened that night. Eh? Runo's cleverly managed to piece together a lot of new information, but still, we'd really like to hear it from you. Thank you, Surigikage. Yes, that is Martin's channel. All right, then. I don't want to tell the story in your accent. It was after we had dinner together at your place, right, Iris? Then we all had a chat up in your office, didn't we? Yes, I remember that. After that, I just couldn't get to sleep. So I slipped out and went down the street to the 2-to-1 to Windibank's place. I had to know if Iris' store was there or not. The Hound of the Baskervilles. Oh wait, sorry. I jumped over to Ryunosuke. I don't know what it's about, nothing. But if you ask me, there's something that Sholmes don't like. Something he don't want people reading. So that's why he lied to Iris and sticking it in the lug with Windibank for safekeeping. At least that's what I thought at the time. Stan, thank you for the gift sub. Or thank you for continuing your... No. Okay, no. You've... Thank you for continuing your sub that you got gifted from Van Planet. I think that counts as an aneurysm. Take a shot. So you broke into Windibank's? I just had to know if it was there or not. I mean, I had no idea all that was going to kick off, did I? I struck the lock and stuck inside. It was dark as you like in there. It was as dark as you like. It was as dark as you like. I mean, I get what that's going for, but still. So I gave the oil lamp on the counter a bit of a wick. And that's when... What do you think you're doing? Oh! Oh, sorry. Ah! I nearly died, I did. The next thing I knew... That happened. I grabbed the gun off the counter and was waving it in the air like I don't know what. So I guess I should have been more specific, Equisworth. Brain aneurysms. You know, the fake kind. Not the real kind. If you have the real kind, call for help. Don't just take a shot. I'm going to assume this is Windibank. Maybe it's Eggsy. I don't know, I'm going to default to Windibank. Oh, you're the girl who was here this afternoon. I didn't think pickpockets went in for armed robbery. The manuscript. Have you got it here? Did Sholmes leave a little papers with you? A story. I beg your pardon? The Hound of the something or other. It's here. I want to see it. If it's here, I want to see it. I'm sorry, young lady, but I'd sooner die than relinquish an article belonging to one of my customers. I don't want it. What would I do with it anyway? I want to see it's here. See it's here, that's all. Oh, you want to see it, do you? I want to know if Sholmes really pawned it here or not. Please, just let me see it and I'll go. Oh, very well then. But for pity's sake, stop waving my gun around, would you? It's known to go off prematurely a lot. So then the old cove unlocked the storeroom door and we both went inside. And there it was, alright, the manuscript. Sholmes weren't lying after all. You did all that just to check for me, Gina? Anyway, then there was a bit of a kick-up out in the back, and out in the main bit of the shop. The Skulkin brothers arriving at the scene, yes. What was that noise? Someone's breaking in! Dear me, is there some burglars convention here tonight that I don't know about? I guess this is the night. Bitch is gonna die. I think I forgot to shut the door behind me. Sorry. I better go and take care of it. Could I possibly have my gun back? Oh, well, I'll come with you and... Now, don't be foolish, young girl. You must stay right here. Don't leave this room under any circumstances. And with that, he took the guns out of my hands and walked back into the shop. I went back in the storeroom, like he said, straining my ears in the dark to hear what was going on. It sounded like they got into a bit of a scrap. I started to think I should help, see? So I was just about to go out to the storeroom myself when... Bang, bang! I heard a couple of shots go off. 2, I think, almost at the same time. And then there he was, right at me feet, laying face down on the floor. I was right next to the storeroom door, so I slammed it and shut it and locked it quick as you like. Because you thought whoever had shot Mr. Windibank might come for you? Yeah, so I went to grab the old cove's gun. I figured I'd put up a fight at least. Oh, but Jenny, you were there. You know it only had 1 bullet in it. But when I got a better look at him, I knew. Windibank was a goner. I felt funny in me head all of a sudden, kind of dizzy. And after that, I don't remember nothing. That must be when you passed out, Gina. If I hadn't done what I'd done, the old cove might still be alive. Did you tell the police everything you just told us? Of course I did, but they didn't believe a word of it, did they? All they said was if I kept telling lies, it'd make things even worse for me. It'd be alright, Jenny, don't worry, just stay strong a little longer. Luna's about to put the real culprit through the mill. That cove what was there in the courtroom? That Eggert Benedict? I still remember how he looked at me, like it was nothing. Hello? He was there that night. Ooh, I haven't done my posh voice in a while. It'll be nice to see Eggsy again. We don't know his real name yet, but I'm convinced that he's involved somehow. She just said he was there! Okay, alright. I'll let you catch up, Bruno. Anyway, thank you for telling us what happened, Gina. I appreciate your honesty. You what? You can leave it all in Runo's capable hands now, Jenny! Mr. Nara. Yes? How come you trust me? I don't get it. I mean, have you forgotten what happened to you before? Come on, it was only 2 months ago. Me and McGuildit, we told you a whole pack of lies. And you got the bog trotter off with him, even though he was a killer. No, I could never forget that. Oh, I did what I thought was best at the time. But the pain of that error of judgment doesn't get any easier to bear. Still, don't forget that I also made you a promise. I told you that I'd be on your side to the bitter end, no matter what. No matter what! But what if I'm lying? You could be working together to get another killer off the hook for all you know. I was once in your position, Gina. I was the accused in a trial. You were? Now why is the W in that one? Why isn't it you err? Before I left Japan, I was accused of murder. And strange as it might sound, the circumstances of the crime were pretty damning. I was sure that no one would believe it wasn't me who done it. Oh, Runo! But there was one person who stood up for me, who believed in me, and was prepared to defend me. And boy, did he look awesome. He's dead now. My best friend. Ryunosuke! No one believes in you more than I do. Leave this to me. All you need to do is put your faith in me, and I'll do the rest. I was so happy I cried. But even then, somewhere inside me, I couldn't help thinking. Surely he doesn't really believe in me. Not completely. But I was wrong. As soon as my trial began, it was obvious that he had an absolute, unwavering belief in me. And in turn, I developed an absolute, unwavering belief in him. That's right, an unwavering belief. Wink. Since then, I came to realize, if you want someone to believe in you, you have to believe in the other person first. Essentially, believe in them that believes in you, that believes in them, that believes in you, that believes in them, that believes in you, that believes in them, believes in you, that believes in you, believes in them, believes in you, 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 believe it. What are you saying? I promise you, Gina, that no matter what happens, I'll keep believing in you. So you don't need to worry. I won't let you down. Even though I'm a diver and a no-good liar, you're not like McGuildit. I know that. Eh? That's right, you're our friend, Jenny! Iris! We know you better than you think. We've come to the conclusion that you're someone we can trust. Yes! That's really all we need to know. Exactly! Mr. Naruto, Defendant Gina Lestrade and her legal representative. Court proceedings are about to resume. Please head into the courtroom immediately. Yes, of course. Thank you. Don't thank him. That's his job. I've been both a defendant and a defending lawyer. What was that? What's going on? Oh no! Is that being captured or is that just my monitor? Oh shit! Courtroom's haunted! Courtroom's haunted! I've been both a defendant and a defending lawyer in my time, so I knew only too well just how hard it was to put all your faith in another. And I also knew that this courtroom's haunted. Just how hard it was to bear the burden of another, putting all their faith in you. This is it at last. The final chapter. The final battle. Oh, don't tell him there's a sequel. Wish me luck, Susato-san. And I hope— whoa, shit! You're watching over me too. Partner. He said it! They're partners. Oh, great. Everyone's still on the witness stand. King Westside, thank you for the Prime sub. I hereby call this court to order as we resume the trial of Miss Gina Lestrade. Lord Van Zykes, have you successfully subpoenaed the witness? The subpoena was delivered to the communication station where the man works immediately, my lord. However, the heavy rain has delayed the arrival of his carriage, it would seem. I see. Then let us turn our attention to Inspector Gregson's precis of the case heard by the court this morning. Actually, I have not heard that. Whatever that word is, I have not seen it written. The glaring omission of the third bullet in your report is a serious blunder, Inspector. The bullet that was in Sholmes's satchel? Zykes took it and then kept it without looking at it. I think that's more Zykes' fault than Gregson's fault, as much as I don't really want to stand up for Gregsy. Yes, I can only apologize, my lord. And although the defense's chemical analysis of the blood at the scene makes for a compelling argument, I cannot permit such untried methods to be used as evidence in my courtroom. It's a big mistake to cross Early and me, a very big mistake. You're next, Santa! What was that? Nothing! My lord! The subpoenaed witness has just arrived in the building! Okay, so what was all this for then? Was this just a little recap? Thank you, officer. Show him to the stand without delay. Does the music sound off? It may be the stream compression. I know sometimes Twitch kind of messes with the audio on the back end. Mr. Eggert Benedict. I didn't expect to be crossing paths with him again so soon. Certainly not like this. Okay, so it might be your Twitch player that's effing with it, because I've had it happen, so I don't doubt that you're hearing something weird. I just don't think I can do anything with it on my end to fix it. Thank you for complying with the court subpoena at such short notice, sir. But of course, my lord, and as an upstanding member of London society, it is my pleasure to oblige. Now kindly state your name and occupation for the record, and I'll check the naughty list. Ashley Graydon, communications officer. You dress like that, but you work at a communication station? No one sees you! Mr. Graydon and I both work at London's Central Communications Station. Now perhaps somebody would kindly explain what all this is about. You were apprised of the situation by the court officer on your way here, I presume. I'm not replacing the W's with V's. I need to fix that. Dress for the job you want. Fair enough. Yes, I was. Something to do with a murder that took place at a pawnbroker's on Baker Street. And some nonsense about me having been there on the night in question. That is the accusation, indeed. This really is beyond a joke, you know. Very well. Without further delay, the court will hear your testimony now, Mr. Graydon. You will respond to the accusation made against you under oath. Do you swear by— oh, that's right. He's a JoJo character. I forgot. Gladly, my lord. Gladly. Strike a pose. the accusation. Naturally, I have occasion to make use of pawnbroking services from time to time. But are you seriously suggesting I colluded with these thugs to break into the place on the night of the murder? I have no intention of admitting to such an outrageous accusation. Even if certain parties here present claim that my blood was found at the scene. Some Scaramouche detective's homebrew tincture can hardly be taken as serious evidence. So, you deny the accusation completely, do you? I must say, I am dismayed. For the highest court in the land to be swayed by this self-professed detective's toy. It was the will of the jury, and our great British justice system demands that the jury's will is upheld. Then it would seem we have the misfortune of a most inept assembly of jurors today. By golly! How long am I expected to be detained here? If, following the defense's cross-examination, your involvement in this matter has not been established, you will be free to leave immediately. Good, then I shall be away in time for afternoon tea. Some small consolation, at least. Let us not hold up Mr. Graydon any longer than necessary, counsel. Proceed with the cross-examination. So we meet again, Mr. Eggert Benedict. Or is it Mr. Graydon? My apologies, you are? Ryunosuke Naruhodo, defense lawyer. We have met. If you say so. Ashley Graydon, enchanté. So. Ooh! I trust we can conclude this quickly. But I'm not holding your flashy hat while we do. Tucker White, thank you for the 15-month resub. What's your prize? That guy's hair. If you want it, go get it. Alright, I think... I feel like if I press that, it's just gonna go, yeah, no, I saw you there. Really? I don't remember. Alright, keep going. Uh-huh. So is this part of your brief? Well, this feels like an odd thing to bring up out of the blue. Hold it! Blood was found at the scene of the crime. There's no question of that. Mr. Shulm's chemical analysis has positively identified the substance as such. But I'm not the only human to have blood running through my veins, am I? How can you be sure that the blood is mine? Could equally be the blood of one of these two miscreants. Every individual's blood has slightly different composition, it seems. Mr. Shulm's chemical is able to differentiate different blood samples by— Spare me the science lesson! Who is this Shulm's character anyway? Oh, I assumed all Londoners would know the name. He's a a renowned detective. So even you are unable to bring yourself to say great detective. A great detective, you say? Now we're in the realm of fairy tales, are we? Oh, hello. What's going on here? Oh, great. I have to remember how I did your voice. Well. Excuse me. Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Skulkin? What, me? No, the Mr. Skulkin next to you. Well, I've had up to here with this. How many times I gotta tell you? Yes, I know. You're not Big Bruv Sulky. Mr. Nash Skulkin. Cold blind me, governor. You what? Is it not the case that when Mr. Graydon just spoke, a thought went through your mind? Would you care to share that thought with the court?
Me thoughts, I done none of them. It must have been him. You what? Mr. Nash Skulkin, answer the question, please. What went through your mind when Mr. Graydon just spoke? Nothing, Omniscov, nothing. I was just thinking. If we waves his arm around like that much more, it'll open up me wound again, that's all. What wound? Well, look at the bullet, of course. It was only 2 days ago. It ain't gonna be healed up yet. So I was, well, you know, I was worrying for him, and... Oh, hell's bells! Mr. Graydon, did you hear that? What? No, sorry, that's not nearly posh enough. What? What? Your comrade is worried about you, it seems. On account of your injured arm. My lord. Yes, Mr. Graydon? I have no idea what these two wretches are talking about. Certainly, I shouldn't be expected to answer anything in relation to their mindless insinuations. We know that someone other than the victim was hit by a bullet at the scene of the crime 2 nights ago. And from the height of the bullet hole in the wall, that person was likely hit in the upper arm or thereabouts. Perhaps you would allow the court official to examine your arm, sir? The left arm that you're currently clasping with your right hand, as if in pain. No, I refuse. He can do that? You have shown no evidence whatsoever that links me to these common thieves. Accordingly, I am not obliged to permit any such invasion of my privacy. As I've already said, I'm completely uninvolved in all of this. I've never had anything to do with the pawnbrokery where this fellow was killed whatsoever. Well, that's a lie. I take offense at the insinuation that I was in any way involved. You claim to have nothing whatsoever to do with Mr. Windibank's pawnbrokery? My lord, the defense would like that last statement to be added to Mr. Graydon's former testimony. Very well, counsel. Continue with your testimony, Mr. Graydon. The bottom line is, I've never had anything to do with the pawnbrokering establishment where this man was killed. Well, we know that's a lie. What can we show that says that? I don't think this is it. Yeah, no, hold on. It'd be this.
Objection!
Have you ever seen this disc before, Mr. Graydon? Why? Is it supposed to mean something? The disc was, until the day of his murder, in pawn at Mr. Oh boy. This disc was, until the day of his murder, in pawn in Mr. Windibank's shop. It was redeemed by the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, that afternoon. However, somebody mysteriously appeared to try and take it from her. And that somebody was you, of course, wasn't it, Mr. Graydon? As I have reiterated numerous times now, you are mistaken. That was not me. I've never seen that disc before in my life. It may have escaped your notice, but there's a small smear of blood on the disc. Ah yes, resulting from an abrasion of the thumb, perhaps? That's right. Sorry. That's right. The surface of the disc is covered in hundreds of tiny metal bumps. Oh boy. I don't consider that an aneurysm, but we're getting there. In the skirmish to acquire the disc, the thumb of the person who tried to take it suffered minor lacerations. So, while the disc bears the remnants of that skirmish in the form of this smear of blood, the thumb of the person in question must bear the remnants also, in the form of a scratch. Good gracious, indeed it must!
Okay. I'll leave that there.
Mr. Graydon, you refused to allow the court officer to examine your arm before. Are you now going to refuse to allow us to examine your thumb? Because I have no doubt that it bears a small scratch consistent with the smear of blood on this disc. Gah! Well, well. It would seem I underestimated you. What is the meaning of this? So you admit it now? You admit you have a scratch on your thumb from when you attempted to take the disc from the defendant? Order! Order! Well, Mr. Graydon? It would appear there has been something of a misunderstanding here. I did not attempt to take the disc, as you put it. No, quite the reverse. What are you trying to say? It's really quite simple, you see. The disc was mine from the outset. There is some crime in taking some crime in taking an item that you own out of pawn? What? It would seem, Mr. Graydon, that in this piece of evidence my learned friend has established a link between yourself and the incident. Accordingly, you will tell the court everything you know about this disc now. As you wish, though I'm quite sure it has nothing whatsoever to do with the pawnbroker's murder. There's a note on the disc saying for McGuildit, but the item belongs to me. The redemption ticket was stolen from me by the accused, that filthy guttling, on the day in question. I proceeded at once to the shop in order to explain my situation and redeem my article. In the end, of course, the disc was taken by the police. In other words, I had absolutely no reason to break into the shop later that same night. Did I hear you correctly, sir? McGuildit, you say? The famous London philanthropist? Now well done? Who perished in this very courtroom 2 months ago after being acquitted of a distinctly messy murder? Yes, my lord, the one and the same. Good lord! Mr. Graydon! Are you saying that Mr. McGuildit and yourself were acquainted? Yes, that's correct. Order! Well, I certainly didn't expect to hear that name uttered here in my courtroom again. According to what Gina told us, this disc was placed in pawn on that fateful night 2 months ago. McGuildit himself gave instructions to deposit it at Windibank's. It's funny that Mr. Graydon here is claiming the disc belongs to him then, isn't it? In all likelihood, he's lying. So he appeared that afternoon at Windibank's in order to get his hands on McGuildit's disc for some reason. Counsel, you will commence your cross-examination, please.
Cross-examination.
All right. Okay, not much to get out of that. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I wonder, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if I have to, like, pull Gregson in one of these lines. And this is the one that's actually mentioning the police, so let's start here.
Hold it!
Yes, it was taken by Inspector Gregson here, wasn't it? That's right, this was the very man. Apparently the police are collecting anything that has a connection to Mr. McGuildit as evidence. Well, ahoy, ahoy there! What's up with you?
Excuse me.
Is something wrong, Inspector?
What do you mean?
The last remark Mr. Graydon made in his testimony seemed to trouble you in some way.
No, it didn't. It's nothing. Leave it alone.
Let me ask you this, Inspector. Why is Scotland Yard gathering Mr. McGuildit's possessions?
I can't tell you something like that, Sunshine.
What is it, Inspector? Investigative secrets?
Yes, exactly. You should know all about that.
Magnus McGuildit, who died so unexpectedly after his trial 2 months ago. That I had totally nothing to do with. A man renowned throughout the capital for his great contributions to public life. Yet he had a dark side, too. Pow.
Where are you going with this, Van Sachs?
I suppose the police are dealing with the aftermath of his nefarious activities, are they?
That's enough! Coppers like me have duties to carry out that we're not at liberty to talk about. That's all you need to know.
Duties conferred by Long Strongheart, I presume.
Oh, he said it! He got to do it before me, but Male Strongheart's in the trial! Woohoo! It finally happened. I totally shattered the rule of 3, but I got Strongheart in the case. I'm taking a shot for that. Worth it.
The Lord Chief Justice appears to have great faith in you, Inspector.
The bottom line is, if you want to get more out of me, you're gonna need Lord Strongheart's paw print first.
What's all this about? It's like there's something going on between Gregson and Lord Van Sykes here. Well, it would appear that the Inspector has revealed all he is at liberty to reveal. Mr. Graydon, let us return to your testimony. Gladly, my lord. Wait a minute. But you did have a reason. Because the ticket for the coat... Because there were 2 tickets. And, oh, that's what the frickin' picture was. My gosh, it's been forever since that thing came up. A redemption ticket issued from the pawnbroker owned by the victim. Had some kind of handwritten notes on the back of the photograph. What did the handwritten notes say? Tell me. One small box. Because you got the disc, but you needed the box that... Oh my gosh. That feels like forever ago. Was it forever ago? Did we even do that in October? Was it all the way back in September that we did the original tussle in the pawnbrokery? I don't even remember. But yeah, no. The disc was in the coat, but he also wanted the box. But he couldn't get the box, and that wasn't taken by the police. There we go. Oh boy. Mr. Winneback appears to have used the back of this photograph to write out a redemption ticket. He's written it very neatly, but still, perhaps he ran out of paper, so he had to use anything he had at hand. It's hard to know what's the front and what's the reverse side now. So yeah, I'm very sure this is what I have to present. Because you still needed the box.
Objection.
This disc was deposited at Winnebank's on Magnus McGuildit's instructions. You knew that, and you went there with the intention of obtaining it for yourself.
Objection!
Wait. Did I accidentally present the disc? No, I think that's just your train of logic. Conjecture again. In any case, the disc was taken into custody by police that afternoon. The witness had no reason to visit the pawnbroker again that night.
Objection.
Sorry, my learned friend, but that's not true. What? Mr. McGuildit had another article in Pawn at Windibank's. As this second pawnbroker's ticket proves. Duh. Duh. There were 2 articles belonging to Mr. McGuildit in Windibank's pawnbrokery, and the reason you broke into the shop that night was to recover the second one. Together with your 2 accomplices, the Skulkin brothers. Duh! This is the second ticket, is it? What had the men deposited? The article description reads, 1 small box. A rather vague description, it seems to me. Are you suggesting that I broke into the pawnbrokery with these clowns in order to steal some trinket box? I believe there are adequate grounds to suspect that you did. This is absurd! Why on earth would I do such a thing? Once the article had been forfeited, I could simply walk into the shop and purchase it. There would be absolutely no need for me to resort to theft. That's a good point. Indeed, the witness makes a solid argument. So that means that for some reason, this Graydon fellow needed the small box that very night, does it?
Objection!
It's time to put an end to this nonsense, my lord. Could you be a little less cryptic, Lord Van Zykes? I do hate to ruin my learned friend's argument, but the truth is quite incontrovertible. On the night in question, no small box was taken from Windibank's pawnbrokery. And rest assured, the prosecution can prove it. We have the box right here. Also, of course he wasn't able to take it. Gina shut the door. But I'll enjoy this theme while it lasts. Anyway, moving on. What? Good gracious! I really need to put some putty on this wig. Inspector, show the photographic prints to the court, if you please.
Yes, sir.
What prints?
These prints were taken from one of the detective's security cameras.
Ah, Early's red-handed recorders again! As previously explained, using this plan of the shop layout, the victim's establishment was furnished with automatic cameras in 2 locations. One was set to capture the counter where Mr. Windibank received his customers, and the other was set to capture the shelves on which articles were placed for sale once forfeited.
According to the information on this ticket, McGuildit's small box had been forfeited already. 2 days before the incident, at 9 p.m. on 13th of April to be precise. Which means it would have been on the shelves of forfeited items in the shop front. Now what I have here is a print taken by one of the cameras about 2 hours before the incident. That's at 11 p.m. on 15th of April.
The victim certainly had a very small shop, it would appear. Are we going to be using the stereoscope again? Everybody cross your eyes.
And then here we have another print. This was the one taken about 2 hours after the incident.
I see. So we have 2 pictures to compare. Well, I must say that placing them side by side leaves me cold. Dear me, that's starting to make my head ache.
Obviously, at Scotland Yard, we consider theft as one possible motive in this case. We explore the possibility that something had been taken in addition to the victim's life.
So your men have already compared the 2 prints and thoroughly, Inspector?
Yes, sir. We counted every single item in each of these 2 photographic prints. And the yard's conclusion is that exactly the same number are present in both.
In other words, nothing was taken from the pawnbrokery on the night in question, and my learned friend's assertion is nothing more than a hopeful fantasy. Ah! I don't believe it. If I could have just shown that he stole in McGuildit's pawn box, I might have been able to break him down at last. You know what, Runo? I've been thinking. I wonder if these two photographs really are exactly the same. What?
So, counsel, in light of the evidence put forward by the prosecution, what is your position? Seems that, in fact, on the night in question, nothing was stolen from the victim's establishment. Do you accept the prosecution's assertion?
I don't know. Could there be some hidden discrepancy in these two photographic prints somewhere? My piece of evidence is probably the stereoscope, isn't it? Yeah, let's do that. Before I give my answer, my lord, I'd like to try something if I may.
Try something? What do you mean, counsel?
I'll need to use a certain piece of evidence from the court record to identify the discrepancy.
Oh, not this again. I'm not entirely sure I follow. Which piece of evidence do you intend to use to help you identify a discrepancy between the two prints?
Well, Your Honor, I'd like for everyone to go cross-eyed just one more time so I can perhaps get a good screenshot of it. No, we're not doing that. Present. Get your F12 ready, everybody. I like to use this device, my lord, to view the two prints stereoscopically. Ooh! Yes! You've cut the bug at last! You can't resist it, can you? You've got the cross-eyed compulsion! Chair number 3, what a surprise. Come on, Runo! Let's put the pictures in place and see what this wonderful contraption shows us. There we go. Now look through the eyepiece. I wasn't sure at first, but there's a clear discrepancy between these two prints. What?
You must identify the location in question for the court, counsel. Indicate this a precise location of the discrepancy of which you speak.
Really? We already did this and everyone seemed to magically have two pictures to do this with. Why do I have to do it now?
Okay, first off, capture, because, dear God, is it not obvious? Could it be over here? Maybe over here? Over here? No, it's right here.
Take that!
Granted, these two prints are almost identical. However, there is one minor discrepancy between them.
What?
Oh, really? Was this on the 3DS? Or was there just like some faux 3D in it? Because I'd buy it, but also it seems like a weird thing to only do for one case.
When you view these the two pictures stereoscopically, a single area stands out as being different. The location of this box, small box. Let me wait. Unbelievable! Cut to the judge, cut to the judge, cut to the judge. Yes! Perfect! One more time. By Jove, you're right! How extraordinary! What this tells us is very simple. Mr. McGuildit's small box was indeed not stolen from Windibanks on the night in question. However, there can be no doubt that somebody picked up this particular box and then returned it to its place on the shelves. Are you suggesting that the small box originally deposited by Mr. McGuildit is in fact... Yes, the very same small box I just identified in those photographic prints.
Objection!
Mindless guesswork. What if it was? Small box was moved on the shelf. Nothing was stolen. Which means quite simply that nothing has changed. That may be true, but... Alright, McGuildit's box wasn't stolen then. But doesn't the fact that it was moved just like that change things? It changes everything! Because if it changes nothing, then I guess Gina have fun in prison. I believe this changes everything about the case. How can that possibly be? The crucial point is the fact that what was moved was a small box. In other words, we have to consider what might have been inside that box. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that we need to examine that box as soon as possible. A vital piece of evidence is sitting on the shelves at Windibanks as we speak.
Objection!
It won't be necessary. Some little box belonging to a man who died 2 months ago can't possibly be relevant to this trial. The court does not uphold your objection, Lord Van Zykes. Overruled, bitch. Bailiff, arrange for an officer to go to Baker Street at once. Obtain the small box in question and bring it back here for further examination. Oh, he didn't blink. Oh, there he goes. We should have a report within half an hour. I think perhaps we should recess for a short while until the evidence is brought forth. To be hoodwinked by such a farce. Disappointing. I beg your pardon, Lord Van Zykes. You're already getting cold. Don't make it a barrage. This is nothing but a smoke screen. A Nipponese specialty, it would seem. What are you trying to say? My learned friend has persisted with the same line of reasoning from the very beginning. That this witness's intent was to steal an article belonging to Mr. McGuildit from the pawnbroker. Yet common sense tells us that none of the articles have value enough to be worth stealing in the first place. Exactly! It would be beyond absurd to break into a place for the purpose of stealing such commonplace property. Windibank valued the box. No one knows what's in the damn box. So, this is already a whole bunch of crap. If your lordship recalls, Mr. McGuildit perished 2 months ago, immediately after the conclusion of its trial. Through some strange means! A trial in which he was found not guilty. A trial in which it was established that he was the upstanding member of society his reputation implied, in fact. So I propose a toast to my learned friend and his most insightful defense. Ugh. The articles this upstanding member of society pawned were entirely ordinary. A black overcoat that just happened to have a music box disc in one of its pockets and a small box. I assure you, I wouldn't accept even if the man tried to make a gift of such things to me. I am a communications officer, sir, with taste. You know, that does make a rather lot of sense. I'm Russian. The prosecution's argument is undeniably compelling. It is incumbent on the defense now to bolster its argument. To explain what possible significance these commonplace articles pawned by this fine citizen could have. Well, counsel, is your argument in fact demonstrable? Are you able to show proof that the disc or the box are in any tangible way related to this case? Well, what's the matter, Runo? We know that they're related, don't we? They're both vital pieces of evidence. Yes, of course, you and I both know that. We know McGuildit's true character, and we know the disc is significant, even if we don't know why. But if we explain all that to the court at this point, we'll have to acknowledge that McGuildit's acquittal 2 months ago was a mistake. That the defense's argument was flawed, based on false information. Oh no! And that would mean admitting that Gina committed perjury.
Oh, now perjury's coming into play! Really? Too late in the game! How many of these fucking witnesses would have already gone through that process if perjury was actually a thing? Ugh. That's another aneurysm. Take a shot. Fucking bullshit. Suddenly perjury matters. Of course it does when it's against the defense.
But Jenny! Could it be that Van Sykes knows? Is that why he's doing this now? Because he's anticipated everything? But maybe... this could be a great opportunity for us. Sorry, what do you mean, Iris? Well, what is it that you always say, Runo? Sooner or later, the truth comes out, every time.
I've said that?
When? Alright, the exact significance of things that McGuildit deposited with Windibank is something that only Gina can explain to the court. If I put her on the stand to testify about that, it could critically damage our chances of winning this case.
Plus, I have to do her accent again, and I don't want to do that.
What's the right thing to do here?
Well, of course, we have to make Gina testify, but still, it's this... You say it all the time when you sleep, Rue. Now I watch you while you sleep.
Yeah, I'll have Gina testify. My lord, the defense would like to make a proposal.
Oh, what proposal, counsel? I like surprises. That's why I've ignored all the rules of evidence in my court.
While the court awaits the arrival of Mr. McGuildit's small box, I would like to call the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, to this witness stand.
The defendant? To what end?
It's to do with the various articles deposited at Windibanks by Mr. McGuildit, my lord. Miss Lestrade has information relating to them. I believe it would be beneficial for the court to hear what she has to say. Would prove the significance of the articles in question once and for all.
Well, things are becoming interesting. I presume you've considered the implications of the testimony you're proposing? In particular, the impact it will have on the accuser's standing, and indeed your own.
I have.
Lord Van Sykes, would you care to explain that last remark?
The prosecution accepts the defense's proposal.
I move to interrupt the cross-examination of the current witness and hear from the accused herself.
Very well, if you have no objection.
So the court will now hear the testimony of the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. You witnesses currently in the stand may step down until further notice. Take a bathroom break. That one in the box has been busting for a piss.
Then I shall bid you good day.
Wait. You, sir, shall remain on the stand while Miss Lestrade testifies.
As you wish.
Alright then, Gina. It's time. I know this will be hard, but please, put your faith in me here.
Good luck, Runo!
To be continued? Immediately.
Terror, thank you for 30-month resub. It's been a while since I've seen you around. Thanks for the resub.
Then again, it's been a while since I've streamed, so fair is fair.
The articles that Mr. McGuildit had deposited in Windibank's pawnbrokery are intimately related to the omnibus case, the trial of which was heard in this courtroom 2 months ago.
Yes, and I remember this young lady being brought before me in that trial as well.
That's right, my lord. Her testimony helped establish the innocence of the defendant, Mr. McGuildit.
The omnibus case was intriguing, to say the least. And now here we all are again. The same players in that trial, facing each other once more. A twist of fate, perhaps, my Nipponese friend. I'll take a deep breath, too. Allow me to recap the events of 2 months ago. An old brickmaker was stabbed to death in an omnibus running along with London's winter streets. Like that, yeah. Apart from the victim, there was only one other person in the carriage, Mr. McGuildit. Naturally, he was the prime suspect for the murder. But as the trial progressed, another possibility emerged. That the murder in fact took place above the defendant's head on the roof deck, with the body then being dropped to the skylight of the carriage below. It was Miss Lestrade whose testimony brought that possibility to light. At the time of the incident, Miss Lestrade was concealed under the seat of the carriage, hoping to pick the pockets of unsuspecting passengers. Say that 3 times fast. Then immediately after the trial, having been acquitted of the murder, McGuildit burnt to death, and I'm sure we all liked seeing that. Mr. McGuildit died in this very courtroom in the most extraordinary of circumstances. A mystery that remains unsolved even now, 2 months on. As indeed the omnibus does the omnibus murder itself. Be that as it may, I recall neither the disc nor the small box being mentioned in the course of those proceedings. Oh, you don't remember, Judge? It happened a lot. Your memory must be going. Miss Lestrade. Would you tell the court now, please? What really happened in the omnibus 2 months ago, I mean? I don't know what you mean. I already said all of what I know. And what about everything you told us yesterday from inside your prison cell? Duh! Please, Miss Lestrade, this is extremely important. But, remember, little girl, if it transpires that you willfully withheld information in the trial 2 months ago, the Home Office will seek to prosecute you for perjury. I mean, I've already said it once, but I'll say it again. Why does perjury finally fucking matter? Feels like we've had one perjurer per case. At least one. And naturally, you will lose all credibility as a witness. Just like all the other witnesses who've lied on the stand. Almost every single one. Didn't stop the jury from having all those summation examinations, then did it? Although, let's face facts. You have little credibility to lose. You know what? I'll take that as a jumping off point. Fun defense for defamation. You can allege the person that's claiming defamation already was of such low character that even if what you said would be considered defamation in a court of law, it didn't matter because their reputation was already shit. It's a fun defense. I mean, truth obviously is always the best defense to defamation. But I always like that you can throw that in there, that they're already such an asshole and everyone knows it, that it doesn't matter what I said. Jenny, don't listen to him! Please, you have to trust Runo now! Iris? We're on your side! Yeah, libel proof, slander proof. I think libel proof is usually the one I see the most, but then again, most of the cases I see are libel, because it's always written down. Alright then. I'll talk. It's the right choice, Gina. Well, it would seem that my learned friend is hell-bent on bringing the entire courtroom down about his ears. So be it. I'm going to pour me another glass and another hallowed chalice. I must confess that I'm struggling to understand what on earth is happening here. Ace Attorney Judges in a nutshell. Yes, Psychronia, exactly that. The fact that I know exactly what you're talking about, I don't want to drag it up because I feel like I'm just inciting someone somewhere. But yes, the fact that they came back and said, his audience knows he's full of shit, so it really shouldn't matter. However, it would appear that Mr. McGuildit's pawned articles in that extraordinary case of the omnibus harbor secrets of which we have been hitherto unaware. So, Miss Lestrade, you will now give your testimony before the court about the events of 2 months ago. You will reveal the truth, a commodity sorely lacking in your original statements. I'd give you the hard-pressed coal, but that's just diamonds. No, time for everything to come out. Like Van Sykes said, this could bring the whole courtroom down about my ears, but as a lawyer, I'm prepared to take that risk. The real truth of the omnibus case, as told in that terrible Cockney accent that I try to affect. Truth is, that brickmaker Culver was in the cabin of the omnibus the whole time. When the Irishman dragged me out from under the seat, I saw the disc on the floor. All of a sudden, I heard a scream from over in the air, and that pair on the roof deck went to call the cops, call the straws. That's when McGuildit slipped the driver some tin to do a run to the pawn shop roundabout. He threatened me not to snitch, not to say nothing to no one, and what I had seen or heard. Good grief, this is outrageous! What you've just told the court bears almost no resemblance to your testimony 2 months ago. Oh, now his memory's keen. As you'll say, my lord. Then there's every chance that I may have adjudicated an error in McGuildit's trial. No, prosecution still fucked up the preservation of evidence, so really the whole thing was a bitch and a half. Oh yeah, no, Psychronia, don't bother counting the perjuries. I would go ahead and say if there has been a witness to this case, witness to any case in this game, they have committed perjury at some point. Unless their testimony was flawed by ignorance. It sounds very much the same to me as if the man deliberately deceived this court in an effort to cover up the most wicked of schemes. Well, then I guess the punishment was justly deserved. We can stop looking into his death. Without a doubt, your lordship is correct. A great injustice was done in this courtroom 2 months ago. The actions of the accused in that trial, of this witness, and of my learned friend are entirely unexcusable. Forgetting the fact that even I was sabotaging my own client in that case, but hey, why let that come back up? Mumble, mumble, mumble. McGuildit sucks! Don't forget that damn Nepalese lawyer. You're wrong, the lot of ya. Mr. Aldo, the lawyer here. You didn't know nothing about it. Humbug! I don't think so. Are we really expected to believe that?
You really stitched everyone up, didn't you? What an operation to get a man off scot-free.
Unforgivable! Stop! Lies have to stop! Stop! I have to stop this! Stop! 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 I'm Russian. Yes, the defense made a terrible error of judgment. I intend to take full responsibility and suffer whatever consequences are deemed appropriate. However, it's imperative that the court allows the witness to elaborate on her testimony. Because the true significance of McGuildit's pawned articles must be brought to light. Very well, my learned student friend. He added student this time. Given the depths of calamity you've just plunged yourself into, this may be worth hearing. Words fail me, except for these. Ho, ho, ho. The situation is utterly deplorable. Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, my lord. I will decide upon your fate following the conclusion of this trial. Really? Is that like a secret part 6? Of course, my lord. Blimey, Mr. Naruhodo. Now, counsel, proceed with the cross-examination. This is not a cross-examination. This is a direct examination. She's my witness. So this isn't a cross-examination, which means I'm pressing every statement because I want to get the full story out of her.
Hold it!
That's not semantics, Revenant. I can't ask leading questions. And you were hiding in the cabin at the time as well, weren't you, Miss Lestrade? That's a leading question. She can only say yes. So already we're out of the gate. The correct form of the question would have been, where were you in the omnibus at that time? Heck, maybe even in the omnibus is considered too leading. I haven't had that much experience. If I remember rightly, in the storage compartment underneath one of the seats. Yeah, that's right. It's pitch black under there, so you can't see nothing at all. Now, in your testimony 2 months ago, I feel certain that you claimed Miss McGuildit was the sole passenger, did you not? False testimony, my lord. That's what he told me I had to say. But it's important that you tell us the truth now. Were Mr. McGuildit and the victim acquaintances? I don't know. I did hear them talking a lot. What were they talking about? See, this is better questioning. Well, I couldn't hear too well, but if I had to say, I think it was about money or something. They kept talking about buying and not buying. Perhaps business dealings of some kind. Well, anyway, they got louder and louder. It started to sound like a proper fight. I was pretty scared by then. I hardly dared to breathe, and then, all of a sudden, I heard a noise like someone keeling over on the floor. It was blooming loud and all. And I believe you let out an involuntary scream. Yeah, that's what gave me away.
Hold it!
Was the disc you saw this disc? Yeah, I reckon it probably was. Wait a minute, what's going on over here? Hey, what are you doing? Hey!
Excuse me.
Is there something you'd like to share with the court, Inspector Gregson and Mr. Graydon? So I know this club out back. I think it has really good clientele, and you know, sometimes there's a midget in the floor. Inspector! Mr. Graydon! What?! Blimey! You trying to give me a heart attack? You have been whispering to each other for quite some time now. Tell us, what is the discussion about?
Discussion with this fella? Pull the other one, Soulshine. You think I got anything to talk about with a shady gent like this?
And I have nothing to say to this uncouth detective after he deprived me of that disc that was rightfully mine. But they've clearly been talking the entire time I've been cross-examining Gina. It's as if they've been negotiating. You will kindly refrain from talking amongst yourselves while the witness is giving testimony. Even though I've seen you've been doing it this entire time, I was gonna let someone call you on it.
Yes, I'm sorry, my lord.
What were those two talking about? Miss Lestrade, continue with your testimony, please. Oh, do I have to press that again? Shit, go back.
Hold it!
Yeah, so we got that part. Yeah, uh-huh. It was next to the cove lying on the floor. Would this disc have belonged to the victim, perhaps? I don't know, but McGuildit picked it up pretty smartish. And then he sat the cove with the knife in his belly up on the seat. What did he say to you at that time? He told me not to say a word about what I'd seen or heard to no one. About the disc and all. I was dead scared. The way he was looking at me, I thought, if I didn't go along with it, I get stuck with that knife, too. Then he started asking me a lot of questions. Like what my name was and where I lived and all that. He asked me about being a diver, too. But after a while, what had happened in the carriage was noticed. Yeah, that's right. First there was a kind of rapping noise.
Hold it!
There were 2 gentlemen occupying the seats on the roof deck, I believe. That's right. That asshole, and then that other asshole. They must have noticed me looking down. They must have looked down in the skylight and noticed me the cove sit with my knife in his guts. And they screamed. The driver pulled the horses, and McGuildit got me out of sight.
Is threat against your life a valid defense for perjury? I am not familiar enough with defenses to perjury. As I'll go ahead and say that right out the bat. But I would say it depends. I would argue it depends on just how real the threat is. Like, if you're in a courtroom surrounded by bailiffs, you would have to kind of look at the disparity of the relationship between McGuildit and Gina. Like, if it was kind of cognizant that McGuildit could make Gina's life hell outside the courtroom, it could be. At least that's what I would argue as Gina's attorney. Maybe that's what we'll get to. Who knows?
Out of sight? Where? Back under the seat where I started off. Once the carriage came to the 2 coves from the roof ran to fetch the slops. If they immediately left to fetch the police, it would appear that they were entirely unrelated to the incident. So that left McGuildit, the driver, and you still at the scene. Yeah, only the driver didn't know I was there because I was under the seat. I heard the cabin door open and a voice from the outside. The driver, yes, he also testified in the trial, I believe. That poor man who desperately needed some warm clothes. A fellow who went by the name of Beppo, if memory serves.
What did McGuildit and the driver say to each other?
I don't know what happened and stuff like that mainly.
Yeah, I mean, I would say McGuildit, being as connected as he is, could still, you know, reasonably harm Gina, even if there was no threat of physical danger. So I would say she was in a pretty safe position. But I also am not thoroughly versed in defenses to perjury. I would ultimately just tell my witnesses not to fucking lie. Because it always makes things worse. They don't get their story straight.
Hold it!
That pawn shop obviously being Windibank's on Baker Street. Just a moment, counsel. Do you mean to tell me that the driver gave false testimony in that trial as well?
Are you fucking kidding me? Yes, it's corrupt top to bottom, Judge. I'm sorry, Santa, but everyone needs to be on the naughty list except for me. I'm a good boy.
Perhaps the excursion to the pawnbroker slipped his mind when he was in the stand. Indeed, Lord Van Zykes. McGuildit took off his coat and gave it to the driver. He folded it up all careful like before handing it over. When I saw him do that, I remember thinking, that coat is what's in it, gotta be worth a few bob. Yes, Gina was sure the disc must be worth more than Mr. Windibank was suggesting, wasn't she? I remember her quibbling with him over the price that afternoon at the pawnbrokery. The driver looked pretty happy when McGuildit flashed some brass in his face. He went running off in a lick. Then the Bachdrager called me and told me to come out from the drag's cabin.
Hold it!
Threaten you how exactly? Told me I'd only be able to escape her if I did exactly what he said. Which included giving false testimony in court 2 months ago? Yeah, that's it. There was one other thing he said. Vite was. You told me I'd have to hang on to the ticket from the pawn shop. Make sure not to lose it.
The ticket? Well, I never.
Said if you didn't show up to get the ticket off me before 2 months passed, I had to go to the pawn shop and pay the money to keep it in lug. To keep it from being forfeited. Left me with some brass to pay for it.
But really? How on earth would Mr. McGuildit have done such a thing?
Depositing his overcoat with a pawnbroker before the arrival of the police. It makes no sense at all. There would seem to be only one logical explanation, my lord. What McGuildit had the driver deposit at Windibanks was something he didn't want the police to see. Something very important that he needed to hide at all costs. Anyway, after that, he let me go, so I laid it before the coppers showed up.
Thank you, Miss Lestrade. Thank you, counsel. I've heard enough. I believe we now have a reasonable understanding of what actually transpired on the omnibus.
It would appear on that night 2 months ago, a negotiation was taking place on the omnibus. The negotiation concerning this disc, however, matters did not run smoothly. Then the parties involved began to quarrel over price. McGuildit took what he wanted by force, at the expense of the other man's life. Which proves my point. The disc is clearly extremely valuable in some way, though I don't understand why as yet. And 2 days ago, precisely 2 months after the omnibus incident, McGuildit's coat and its contents were due to be forfeited. I didn't know what I should do with the ticket. I mean, the cove died right after his trial. I knew that. So you decided to try to claim the articles as your own. Well, why not, eh? They're only gonna get forfeited. Why shouldn't I have got them? Anyway, you can't blame me for thinking about it. Thinking ain't no crime. Miss Lestrade, it would appear Mr. McGuildit was prepared to kill in order to take possession of this disc. Do you know why that would be? Eh? I ain't got a clue. But I reckon it must be worth a fair bit of brass. We're probably going to sell it. And you can't blame me for thinking that. Thinking ain't no crime. Bailiff, maybe?
My lord!
Hey!
The evidence your lordship requested has been located and is ready for the court's inspection, sir.
The mysterious little box deposited by McGuildit 2 months ago. There's no doubt in my mind that it's a key piece in this far-reaching puzzle. To be continued? Hey! Well, it's a bit short of a session, but I did say I will be back at this Friday night. So it's going to be a bit of a double-header this week. And I'm pretty sure that the next part is the last one, which means it might run long, so I'm not going to stack it up tonight. So I hope everyone will join me on Friday night as we finally wrap up the Great Ace Attorney, Part 1. However, that will not be the only stream, as I believe tomorrow, next week, tomorrow, Kieran and Grant will be back for some more dinner time gaming. Don't know what they do. They just do what they want to do, but it's going to be dinner time gaming. And as for Thursday night, I may pop on here with something, not sure what. Heck, wasn't going to do Great Ace Attorney until like 30 minutes before I started streaming. But Magnesium, thank you for the 500 bits. By the way, YouTube recommended to me Dune, explained in 5 minutes, no spoilers, by a channel called Quinn's Ideas. My immediate thought was that you had side channel you're keeping secret from all of us. No. YouTubing is not my game. I just fill in the gaps where necessary. But I actually have seen that channel, and I do like a lot of his videos, especially the ones he did, I think a couple of years ago that gave just kind of more broad explanations for the Dune universe. If you've either read the first book or seen the movie, those videos are great for extra detail to the setting. Anyway, let me see if I can send you guys over to somebody this Tuesday night. Who's streaming? We got Nick doing Hollow Nest and Hollow Knight, and we have... Ooh, okay, Grant's doing Dark Souls. Grant doesn't stream a lot. Or at least not as I'm streaming. So I'll send you over to Grant.
We always seem to raid Nick, so it's time someone else got the love. No, it's not. It's just WGS. So I hope everyone has a great Tuesday night, and I'll see you guys at the latest Friday night for wrapping up this game, but I hope you pop back in tomorrow and watch what Kieran and Graydon are going to be up to. Later!